Hello, hello, everybody. Happy Friday to you. Another live. How's it getting better than that? Hello and welcome to the Art of Creation show. I am your host and your coach for, the next hour. Hi, Martha. Nice to see you. So we are in our read-along series, Season 8 of the Art of Creation show. And, of course, our trusty book for this read-along, The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, one of my favorites. And we've actually gone through all of the four agreements already. So if you missed any of those, then I would invite you to go back to the Art of Creation show YouTube channel, Season 8, the playlist. You'll have everything from the beginning all the way through. Hi, thank you so much for being here. Great to see you. Hi, Jenny. I wonder, lots of different possibilities. Hi. Oh my gosh, what a fun party we're having today. Great to see you guys. So, yes, if you've missed any of those, hope to see, I won't see you there, actually. Oh, great. Oh yeah, lots of awesome things going on right now, and just loving these read-alongs, actually. So I'm so happy that you're here. So if you want to go and see what... Yay, I know, right? Season 8. How does it get any better than that? If you want to see what Don Miguel has said in the first 5 chapters, then certainly you're welcome to go and listen to those. And I just have to laugh. It's kind of like, Frank, you'll know this, but what's the show, Mystery Science Theater? I don't know, whatever it is, where the movies are playing and then the aliens are watching and doing the commentary. I kind of feel like that's what my read-alongs are, because I read and then I'm like the little peanut gallery commenting all along the way. Anyway, okay, so chapter 6, the Toltec Path to Freedom, Breaking Old Agreements. So as always, eat the fish, spit out the bones, and let's see if there's something in here for you today. So everyone talks about freedom. All around the world, different people, different races, different countries are fighting for freedom. But what is freedom? In America, we speak of living in a free country, but are we really free? Are we free to be who we really are? The answer is no, we are not free. True freedom has to do with the human spirit. It is the freedom to be who we really are. Who stops us from being free? We blame the government, we blame the weather, we blame our parents, we blame religion, we blame God. Who really stops us from being free? We stop ourselves. What does it really mean to be free? Sometimes we get married and we say that we lose our freedom. And then we get divorced and we say that we are still not free. What stops us? We can't. Why can't we be ourselves? We have memories of long ago when we used to be free and we loved being free, but we have forgotten what freedom really means. If we see a child who is 2 or 3, perhaps 4 years old, we find a free human. Why is this human free? Because this human does whatever he or she wants to do. The human is completely wild, just like a flower, a tree, or an animal that has not yet been domesticated. Wild. And if we observe humans who are 2 years old, we find that most of the time these humans have a big smile on their face and they're having fun. They are exploring the world. They are not afraid to play. They're afraid when they are hurt, when they're hungry, when some of their needs are not met. But they don't worry about the past, don't care about the future, and only live in the present moment. Very young children are not afraid to express what they feel. They are so loving that if they perceive love, they melt into love. They are not afraid to love at all. That is the description of a normal human being. As children, we are not afraid of the future or ashamed of the past. Our normal human tendency is to enjoy life, to play, to explore, to be happy, and to love. But what has happened with the adult human? Why are we so different? Why are we not wild? From the point of view of the victim, we can say that something sad happened to us. And from the point of view of the warrior, we can say that what happened to us is normal. What has happened is that we have the book of law, the big judge, and the victim who rule our lives. We are no longer free because the judge, the victim, and the belief system don't allow us to be who we really are. Once our minds have been programmed with all that garbage, we are no longer happy. This chain of training from human to human, from generation to generation, is perfectly normal in human society. You don't need to blame your parents for teaching you to be like them. What else could they teach you but what they know? They did the best they could, and if they abused you, it was due to their own domestication, their own fears, their own beliefs. They had no control over the programming they received, so they couldn't have behaved any differently. Enter choice. And, right, like the awareness piece, right? Can we actually choose something that we don't have awareness around? So, G.I. Joe, it is very true. Knowing is half the battle. So there is no need to blame your parents or anyone who abused you in your life, including yourself. But it is time to stop the abuse. It is time to free yourself of the tyranny of the judge by changing the foundation of your own agreements. It is time to be free from the role of the victim. The real you is still a little child who never grew up. Sometimes that little child comes out when you're having fun or playing, when you feel happy, when you're painting or writing poetry or playing the piano or expressing yourself in some way. These are the happiest moments of your life, when the real you comes out, when you don't care about the past and you don't worry about the future. You are childlike. But there is something that changes all of that. We call them responsibilities. The judge says, wait a second, you are responsible. You have things to do. You have to work. You have to go to school. You have to earn a living. All of these responsibilities come to mind. Our face changes and becomes serious again. If you watch children when they are playing adults, you will see their little faces change. Let's pretend I'm a lawyer. And right away their faces change and the adult face takes over. We go to court and that is the face we see, and that is what we are. We are still children, but we have lost our freedom. The freedom we are looking for is the freedom to be ourselves, to express ourselves. But if we look at our lives, we will see that most of the time we do things just to please others, just to be accepted by others, rather than living our lives to please ourselves. That is what has happened to our freedom. And we see in our society and all the societies around the world that for every 1,000 people, 999 are completely domesticated. The worst part is that most of us are not even aware that we are not free. There is something inside that whispers to us that we are not free, but we do not understand what it is and why we are not free. The problem with most people is that they live their lives and never discover that the judge and the victim rule their mind, and therefore they don't have a chance to be free. The first step toward personal freedom is awareness. We need to be aware that we are not free in order to be free. We need to be aware of what the problem is in order to solve the problem, right? Or just to choose something different. Awareness is always the first step, because if you are not aware, there is nothing you can change. If you are not aware that your mind is full of wounds and emotional poison, you cannot begin to clean and heal the wounds, and you will continue to suffer. There is no reason to suffer. With awareness, you can rebel and say, this is enough. You can look for a way to heal and transform your personal dream. The dream of the planet is just a dream. It is not even real. If you go into the dream and start challenging your beliefs, you will find that most of the beliefs that guided you into the wounded mind are not even true. You will find that you suffered all those years of drama for nothing. Why? Because the belief system that was put inside your mind is based on lies. That is why it is important for you to master your own dream. That is why the Toltecs became dream masters. Your life is the manifestation of your dream. It is an art. The art of creation. Zut alors. Okay. And you can change your life anytime if you aren't enjoying the dream. Dream masters create a masterpiece of life. They control the dream by making choices. Everything has consequences, and a dream master is aware of the consequences. To be Toltec is a way of life. It is a way of life that says where there are no leaders and no followers, where there are blah, blah, blah. To be Toltec is a way of life. It is a way of life where there are no leaders and no followers, where you have your own truth and live your own truth. A Toltec becomes wise, becomes wild, and becomes free again. There are 3 masteries that lead people to become Toltecs. First is the mastery of awareness. This is to be aware of who we really are with all the possibilities. The second is the mastery of transformation, how to change, how to be free of domestication. The third is the mastery of intent. Intent from the Toltec point of view is that part of life that makes transformation of energy possible. It is the one living being that seamlessly encompasses all energy, or what we call God. Intent is life itself. It is unconditional love. The mastery of intent is therefore the mastery of love. When we talk about the Toltec Path to freedom, we find that they have an entire map for breaking free of domestication. They compare the judge, the victim, and the belief system to a parasite that invades the human mind, right? Or a computer virus in our hard drive. From the Toltec point of view, all humans who are domesticated are sick. They are sick because there is a parasite that controls the mind and controls the brain. The food for the parasite is the negative emotions that come from fear. If we look at the description of a parasite, we find that a parasite is a living being who lives off of other living things, sucking their energy without any useful contribution in return, and hurting their host little by little. The judge, the victim, and the belief system fit this description very well. Together they comprise a living being made of psychic or emotional energy, and that energy is alive. Of course, it is not material energy, but neither are emotions material energy. Our dreams are not material energy either, but we know they exist. So I wonder if we just erased all the programming, if we lived the dream from this perspective of creation, finding the joy, the beauty, the wonder, the play, I wonder how long we would live. Would we actually age the way we do? Oh, I wonder. We can experiment with that. We can talk about it in 100 years and compare notes. So one function of the brain is to transform material energy into emotional energy. Our brain is the factory of the emotions, and we have said that the main function of the mind is to dream. The Toltecs believe that the parasite, the judge, the victim, and the belief system, has control of your mind. It controls your personal dream. The parasite dreams through your mind and lives its life through your body. It survives on the emotions that come from fear and thrives on drama and suffering. The freedom we seek is to use our own mind and body to live our life, instead of the life of the belief system. When we discover that the mind is controlled by the judge and the victim and the real us is in the corner, we just have two choices. One choice is to keep living the way we are, to surrender to the judge and the victim, to keep living in the dream of the planet. And the second choice is to do what we do as children when parents try to domesticate us. We can rebel and say, no. We can declare a war against the parasite, a war against the judge and the victim, a war for our independence, a war for the right to use our own mind and our own brain. And that's where I would offer a little reframe, right? Like, what if actually the power of choice is a solution that doesn't involve a war, doesn't involve fighting? It might be challenging to stay in choice. It may be challenging to stay in awareness. It may be challenging to stay present and yet shift a perspective, point of view. Does it have to be a war or battle, or can it simply be the process of evolution? It's kind of exciting, folks. That is why in all the shamanic traditions in America, from Canada to Argentina, people call themselves warriors because they are in the war against the parasite in the mind. That is the real meaning of a warrior. The warrior is one who rebels against the invasion of the parasite. The warrior rebels and declares a war. But to be a warrior doesn't mean always win the war. We may win or we may lose, but we always do our best, and at least we have a chance to be free again. Choosing this path gives us, at the very least, the dignity of rebellion and ensures that we will not be the helpless victim of our own whimsical emotions or the poisonous emotions of others. Even if we succumb to the energy, the parasite, we will not be among those victims who would not fight back. And that's again where I would just offer a little tweak. Like, yes, there's strength and power in this warrior energy, and cool, if that works for you, totally embrace it. And that's where, for me, it's fun to look at, okay, what is it to be a creator? So I don't actually have to war against anything that's not working. I can actually just choose something entirely new and be a creator of that new possibility. Sometimes maybe I'm a warrior up here, right? Because sometimes there are conflicting thoughts, feelings, and emotions from that belief system. So anyway, you can play with this all kinds of different ways. So take what works for you. At best, being a warrior gives us an opportunity to transcend the dream of the planet and to change our personal dream to a dream that we call heaven. Just like hell, heaven is a place that exists within our mind. It is a place of joy, a place where we are happy, where we are free to love and to be who we really are. We can reach heaven while we are alive. We don't have to wait until we die. God is always present and the kingdom of heaven is everywhere, but first, we need to have the eyes and ears to see and hear that truth. We need to be free of the parasite. The parasite can be compared to a monster with 1,000 heads. Every head of the parasite is one of the fears that we have. If we want to be free, we have to destroy the parasite. One solution is to attack the parasite head by head, which means we face each of our fears one by one. This is a slow process, but it works. Every time we face one of the fears, we are a little more free. A second approach is to stop feeding the parasites. If we don't give the parasite any food, we kill the parasite by starvation. To do this, we have to gain control of our emotions. We have to refrain from fueling the emotions that come from fear. This is easy to say, but it is very difficult to do. It is difficult because the judge and the victim control our mind. So this is where I would look at it as like, when the monster has us in its grips, right? Where we are in that commotion of all the rearing heads, the fears, the doubts, right? It has all the power, right? And so we need to acknowledge, like we can't just ignore that the monster is there. We can't ignore each of the heads, right? Acknowledge them, see them, experience them, find where they may even be rooted in your body, acknowledge that space. And then go out and create. Because if you're out on your adventure, you're not feeding them anymore. They stay back home and wither and die. A third solution, but you have to acknowledge them first, right? Otherwise, they'll just keep following you. A third solution is called the initiation of the dead. The initiation of the dead is found in many traditions and esoteric schools around the world. We find it in Egypt, India, Greece, and America. This is a symbolic death which kills the parasite without harming our physical body. When we die symbolically, the parasite has to die. This is faster than the first two solutions, but it is even more difficult to do. We need a great deal of courage to find the angel of death. We need to be strong. Let's take a closer look at each of these solutions. And there's a movie, and I'm blanking on the name right now. It's not The Warrior, but it's something like that, and it's actually a really great movie. I think Nick Nolte is in it, and it kind of talks about this and sort of killing who you've been in order to become what you're becoming. And I will find the name of that movie, and I'll put it in the show notes. It's a good one. So the art of transformation, the dream of the second attention. We have learned that the dream you are living now is the result of the outside dream hooking your attention and feeding you all of your beliefs. The process of domestication can be called the dream of the first attention because it was how your attention was used for the first time to create the first dream of your life. One way to change your beliefs is to focus your attention on all those agreements and beliefs and change the agreements with yourself. In doing this, you are using your attention for the second time, thus creating the dream of the second attention or the new dream. So the first one kind of comes in by default. And the second one is where we get to exercise choice and creation. Conscious creation. So the difference is that you are no longer innocent. When you were a child, this was not true. You didn't have a choice, but you are no longer a child. Now it's up to you to choose what to believe and what not to believe. You can choose to believe in anything, and that includes believing in yourself. The first step is to become aware of the fog that is in your mind. You must become aware that you are dreaming all the time. Only with awareness do you have the possibility of transforming your dream. If you have the awareness that the whole drama of your life is the result of what you believe, and what you believe is not real, then you can begin to change it. However, to really change your beliefs, you need to focus your attention on what it is that you want to change. You have to know which agreements you want to change before you can change them. So the next step is to develop awareness of all the self-limiting, fear-based beliefs that make you unhappy. You take an inventory of all that you believe, all your agreements, and through this process you begin the transformation. The Toltecs called this the art of transformation, and it's a whole mastery. You achieve the mastery of transformation by changing the fear-based agreements that make you suffer and reprogramming your own mind in your own way. One of the ways to do this is to explore and adopt alternative beliefs, such as the 4 agreements. So funny, the art of transformation and the art of creation. I had forgotten about this when, Frank, when you and I came up with this name for the show. And same but different. Very cool. So the decision to adopt the 4 agreements is a declaration of war to regain your freedom from the parasite. And I would say it's a declaration of choice for the creation of the dream you desire. And there are so many other possibilities too. The 4 agreements offer the possibility of ending the emotional pain, which can open the door for you to enjoy your life and begin a new dream. It's up to you to explore the possibilities of your dream if you are interested. The 4 agreements were created to assist you in the art of transformation, to help you to break the limiting agreements, gain more personal power, and become stronger. The stronger you get, the more agreements you can break until the moment comes when you make it to the core of all those agreements. Going to the core of those agreements is what I call going into the desert. When you go into the desert, you meet your demons face to face, right? That's coming face to face with that multi-headed dragon or monster. Hi, Heather, nice to see you. Hi, Parita. After coming out of the desert, all those demons become angels. Practicing the 4 new agreements is a big act of power. Breaking the spell of black magic in your mind requires great personal power. Every time you break an agreement, you gain extra power, right? You're just reclaiming the power that has been there the whole time. And you're actually using it and utilizing it for your creations instead of to feed the parasite. So you start by breaking agreements that are very small and require less power. As those smaller agreements are broken, your personal power will increase until you reach a point when you can finally face the big demons in your mind. For example, the little girl who was told not to sing and is now 20 years old, and she still does not sing. One way she can overcome the belief that her voice is ugly is to say, okay, I will try to sing, even if I do sing badly. Hey, Jess. Then she can pretend that someone is clapping and telling her, oh, that was so beautiful. This may break the agreement a teeny tiny bit, but it will still be there. However, now she has a little more power and courage to try again and again until finally she breaks the agreement. And that's where we play, right? We play with experiments. We try this, we try that. We see what works, we see what doesn't. And each of those things, right? We're getting out into the world. We're having new experiences that can actually contribute to that which we want to create and give us the confidence bit by bit that we can actually create change in our lives. So that's one way out of the dream of hell. But for every agreement you break that makes you suffer, you will need to replace it with a new agreement that makes you happy, right? So it's not just about getting rid of all the stuff. It's also replacing it with something that is going to actually work, right? So you get rid of the 50 billion things that don't work. And Jess, you can appreciate this from a clutter perspective, right? Clearing out all the clutter in our mind that keeps us distracted, conflicted, moving in all directions, maybe stuck in fear, and replacing it with the simple truth, whatever that is for you. So this will keep the old agreement from coming back. If you occupy the same space with a new agreement, then the old agreement is gone forever, and in its place is the new agreement. There are many strong beliefs in the mind that can make the process look hopeless. This is why you need to go step by step and be patient with yourself, because this is a slow process. The way you are living now is the result of many years of domestication. You cannot expect to break the domestication in one day. Breaking agreements can be difficult because we put the power of the world, which is the power of our will, into every agreement we have made, right? Yes, it is. It's all about the clutter. We need the same amount of power to change an agreement. We cannot change an agreement with less power than we use to make the agreement. And almost all of our personal power is invested in keeping the agreements we have within ourselves. That's because our agreements are actually like a strong addiction. We are addicted to being the way we are. We are addicted to anger, jealousy, and self-pity. We are addicted to the beliefs that tell us, I'm not good enough, I'm not intelligent enough. Why even try? Other people will do it because they're better than me. All of these old agreements which rule our dream of life are the result of repeating them over and over again. Therefore, to adopt the 4 agreements, you need to put repetition in action. Practicing the new agreements in your life is how your best becomes better. Repetition makes the master. And so the world power coaching that I do, right, that's exactly what this is about. It's like, how can you actually create an environment, right, where you have world power? Like the world around you is actually feeding you and offering you power for fulfilling the new belief system, right? For actually becoming what it is, or being even better, being that which you want to be in the world, right? To express yourself in the way that is the true expression of who you are. And so if all the different environments, right, the spiritual environment, the technological environment, the physical environment, the relationship environment, the professional environment, like if all the different environments that you show up in, if they are all curated and designed to actually support you, then you don't have to rely on motivation or just muscling through. You can actually, right, allow the people, the places, the things, the systems in your life to cooperate with you, contribute to you, and co-create with you. And that's what I see him as talking about. Yes, Jess, she always say 2 emotions cannot occupy the same space at one time. If you have fear, that space cannot be occupied by love or joy. When you create space, you create opportunity for new, beautiful things to come in. So true, Jess. So Jess Marcy, she's a professional organizer, and so we're barking up the same tree, so to speak. But yeah, I mean, you know, physically, right? If you have a pair of shoes you hate in your closet, well, that's space that could be used for a pair of shoes you love. And the same thing can be said for our mental, emotional, and spiritual space. So true, my dear. Let's see, where are we? So we are... Okay, so I am actually going to stop here today. I said I was going to go half an hour today, and we are actually halfway through, and yay, shoes! Maybe, Heather, maybe you can pop a picture of your dream shoes into the comments. They are so super fun. I wonder who else they might bring joy to. So we are halfway through chapter 6, and this next half of chapter 6 is the discipline of the warrior, controlling your own behavior, and it's actually a fair amount. Whereas next week's chapter, chapter 7, that's the last chapter, is very short. So I'm going to read those 2 next week together. Oh, thanks for being here. And this has been such a fun reading. Loved having all of you guys here with us today. I will put the name of that movie that I mentioned in the show notes. I'll just have to look for it. Right now, I'm on my way. Yesterday, I spent 8 hours in a silent meditation retreat, and I'm now on my way for, let's see, it's going to be 11 hours today. Holy moly. So maybe next Friday I'll be levitating when I do the reading. So anyway, this is one of the ways that I am choosing to release these things. So I wonder what you are going to choose. And, you know, I'm really curious, right? In the reading today, we talked about what are your beliefs? You know, what are those things at the core? And hey, we're at the end of a decade, right? We're not just at the end of a year, we're at the end of a decade. So I wonder what things you would like to complete and leave in this decade as we move to the next one. And I wonder what you might want to begin the new year and the new decade with. So if it's fun for you, maybe you want to take a little bit of time and space, and maybe with paper and a pen, maybe dictating, whatever would work for you, and just go and explore and just kind of wonder about it and see what shows up. What are some of the beliefs that are in there? And if you notice like there's some areas that are a little bit wiggly or you're kind of shying away from, like what would it take to just drop your barriers and to really sit there and to actually allow that to come in, even if there's emotion attached, even if there are memories attached. And what if all of that is the brilliance that you are today, and you don't have to hold on to it anymore. It doesn't have to mean anything for your future. It doesn't have to mean anything past this experience right now. And it also can, if you want, it can be looked at in a way that helps fuel you forward, if that works. So I woke up the other morning, one more quick story and then we'll cut. But I woke up yesterday morning and I had this vision of a rocket ship. Yeah, I had this vision of a rocket ship, and I was thinking about how when you have a rocket ship, right, you have this huge, heavy hunk of metal that in theory shouldn't really fly, right? And you have these boosters, these rocket boosters. So together with the rocket ship, these rocket boosters, they get this big, ginormous thing up into the air, and then like it's really bumpy, and like the rocket ship is in this kind of like, okay, it's go time state, and through the bumpiness, it keeps going, and all the rocket boosters, they fall away, right? They fall back down to earth, right? So those rocket boosters were 100% required to get up through that bumpy layer and for the rocket ship to make it into space. Couldn't have done it without them, right? But if the rocket boosters weren't let go of, they actually would no longer be relevant in space and could actually potentially be a hindrance as well, right? So this analogy, this metaphor, I invite you to play with it a little bit. And what have been your rocket boosters, right? What have you totally needed, whether they were awesome, not so awesome, fun, miserable, right? Positive, negative, I mean, however you want to look at it, right? What have been your rocket boosters? And can you just thank the bejesus out of them, acknowledge them 100%, give them glory, and then release them so that you can make it through this next bit of bumpiness and find the space that you're just on the edge of. So that's it for today, my friends. I'm so happy you were here. Mwah! Big kisses to you. Have a wonderful week. And until next time, I wonder what we'll discover next. Bye, guys.